We're going to take a look at installing WordPress using FTP. Sometimes you might find that the hosting environment that you want to run your website on doesn't provide a one-click install for WordPress. In those cases, you've got to get the files and upload them and configure it yourself. It's really straightforward to do, but you just need to know the tools and the way and the order to do it. And so we'll go through the process here. And there's really 4 steps that you need. First, you'll download the file from wordpress.org and uncompress it on your computer. And then you'll use FTP, so you'll need to copy those files then onto the server that's hosting the website. Then you'll need to create a database that's going to store your pages and posts and the other configuration for the site. And that's the mysql database. And then the final step is to configure the site so that everything talks to each other and so that it's set up in the same way as you might do in the configuration stage of a one-click install. And so we'll look at first downloading that file from WordPress. So we'll first have a look at wordpress.org. So this is the place where you will download the WordPress files from. It's important that you go to wordpress.org rather than wordpress.com. So wordpress.com is the managed hosting environment that one of the founders of WordPress set up, and you would log in, create an account, and host the site with them. It's a very much more restricted version of WordPress than we would use. Instead, we're going to use this one. And you know that it's the .org because it has a Get WordPress button. So if we click on Get WordPress and then click on Download WordPress 532, so it'll always be the latest version. This .tar.gz file below it is just a different way of compressing and packaging up the files, but we'll use this one, which gives us a zip file. So this WordPress 532, if we go in, you'll see that there's a folder WordPress, and then it's made up of the different files that make up the WordPress code base. So this is the code that actually runs the blog. We need to get these files onto our web server. Now we can't just copy them across. Certainly can't do it while they're in the zip file. So what we're doing here is we're looking inside the zip file. So our first step is to uncompress or to extract these files from our folder. So we will just right click it and extract all, and we'll extract it into a folder next to the zip file. So you see here it says compress zipped, that's our zip file. Here it says file folder. So that is our folder with our WordPress files in it. So we've got hold of our zip file and we've uncompressed it. Now we're going to use FTP to copy our files to our hosting. So the hosting environment that we've got and that we've set up is the standard one that we use for our training. This is a pretty standard hosting account, sort of similar to a lot that you might get from other companies. And so there's a number of tools that are available and information about their hosting as well. Normally when we use this, at the bottom we would have a one-click install for WordPress. We don't have that at the moment. Instead, we've got to go through the process ourselves using the files and folders and the MySQL database. One of the things that we have in the information about the hosting is for the FTP server. Where are we? We've got some stuff up here. FTP server, username and password. And those are the things that we'll need to be able to copy the files up to the server. What we also need is an FTP client. So an FTP client is a program which will take those details and make a connection to the server, and then we can upload and download files from the web server. Now the program that we tend to use is this one. It's called CyberDuck. There are lots of FTP clients. CyberDuck is just really straightforward. It's free, and you just download either the Windows or the Mac version, the version that you need. So we have a copy installed. The installation is super easy. You just download it and then go through the installation process. There's no options when you're installing it. And we will need these 3 pieces of information. So I'm going to open a connection. And we need the server name. I'm just going to copy and paste these. The username. And the password. And click connect. So what this is showing us is the files and folders on the remote web server, and what we've got at the moment is this public HTML folder. So that's the folder where the website, the publicly facing website, lives. We could also go in through our control panel here. Do you see File Manager? If we click on that, you'll see that we also have public HTML, and you'll see that it's empty at the moment. This is an easy way of dinking in and making quick changes to the files, but it's not a convenient way of uploading what is like 2,500 files or so which make up WordPress. Instead we'll use this. So we can click into public HTML and we'll see again we've got an empty folder. So the easiest way of doing it is just to take the files, drag them across, and they'll upload. And this will send the files up. It's only going to take a couple of minutes. This obviously will depend on the speed of your connection. So while they're uploading, let's have a look at where we are. So we're now copying those files up to our hosting, and when they have finished, we can take a look at what's actually in the site. Right, so those files have uploaded, and if we refresh our file manager we should see what we have there. Yeah, so they're uploaded. Now if we go to our attexample.local, which is the domain that we're testing this on, we get the setup file, the setup.config file. So we can choose our language that we want to install, and you'll see this. So now it's asking for the database details. So we've uploaded the files, but we haven't yet configured the database and then told it how to talk to the database as well. So that is this step. We're going to create a MySQL database where we're going to be able to store those posts and pages. Right, so in our hosting, we can go back and have a look, go down to the web tools. So again, it'll look different on different hosting companies, but very often there'll be either a MySQL database configured already, or you have to bob in and create one. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go into MySQL databases, and we can add a new database. So there's no configuration beyond the name of the database itself, which we will call WordPress. And in this system, it comes back with the server name, the database name, which is the same as the username as well, and you see they've added something to uniquely identify it in case everybody called their database as WordPress, and a password here. And those are the things that we need to tell WordPress. So let's pop that here. And let's put in the details again. We'll just copy and paste these. We want our database name is this. Our username is the same as the database name, so here we can just do that. We'll copy and paste the password, and the database host is just this bit here. Don't worry about the table prefix. The table prefix really harks back to a time when maybe you might have more than one WordPress installation in a single database. Most places now will allow you to create lots of different MySQL databases, and so they can all have this prefix of WP_. So just leave that as it is, and we'll hit submit. So if we look at where we are, we've gone through all of these, we've created our MySQL database, and now really all we're looking to do now is configure WordPress. If we go back, you can see it's done all our database configuration, and it says WordPress can now communicate with the database, so the two things are linked. And so now we can run the installation, which is the standard WordPress installation that you would see if it's a one-click install, or if it's already bundled up in some way. We can call this my test WordPress site. We'll give it a username of admin. We'll use that strong password that WordPress suggests. Let's give it my email address and install. And that's it. We can log in and see the dashboard as it would normally be. And we can see the website as well, the publicly facing website, as it's installed. And so then we can go on and configure the site as we would in any other installation.